I gotta get this off my mind so I can go on with my day here. Let's talk about GALs for a minute, or get out the Astrolube. Um, if people knew, if people knew what parents went through in family court and how fathers and mothers' rights were trampled on a religious basis, especially by the appointment of a GAL, you would be so disgusted. Disgusted disgusted to the point. Let's compare it to the car buying experience and warranty with the dealership and the automakers, because that's what I know. That's what I know hands down. And 10 years and now 4 GALs, I have a lot of experience with how people's rights are trampled on a religious basis by the appointment of a GAL. So let's compare that, because that will give some people some insight as to how the court system operates. You could compare the courts in the state to basically the dealership and the automakers. And basically, if you compare a gal to a technician in the automotive industry that's employed by a dealer, they normally and they typically have been getting paid flat rate. Now, not only do they get paid flat rate, which is by the job, and doesn't necessarily produce the best results possible. When it comes to warranty work is something that the dealerships and the automakers, they're going to lose money on, because it's common issues with vehicles, common issues on new car lines that come out and have multiple issues, and all the dealers and the automakers want to do is hide the problem until it's out of warranty. Well, you could compare that to a child becoming 18 and getting out of the system, getting out of the parents' care. A GAL would be compared to that dealership technician, and it's bullshit, because the GALs are attorneys, at least in the state of Wisconsin. I don't know about any other states. All I know is about my experience with Wisconsin and Wisconsin law. But they are attorneys, and they are allegedly supposed to be appointed to a case to be an extension or an arm of the court to do an investigation. Well, I can tell you, in my 10 years, the three individuals that were appointed to this case, two of the laziest attorneys that I've ever met in my life, Dick Boren and Aaron Krasinski. And then there was one lady, Alice Shipper out of Green Bay, who attempted to do some things, but they fell through the cracks because mom wasn't held accountable, and nothing that was put in the orders stopped her from doing what she continued to do for 10 goddamn years. And it's bullshit, and things need to change. So back to the analogy, a GAL would be an attorney in the state of Wisconsin that makes a ton of money, because I'm sure they have schooling, they have credentials, and they're part of the bar association. They should get paid well. But yet, when it comes to being appointed, they take appointments to be a GAL in the state of Wisconsin. A judge, basically, I understand, asks them. They get appointed. They get paid a fraction of what they would be making as a regular attorney to basically supposedly represent the child in this matter. However, my personal experience with the last one, Krasinski, an attorney out of Ocano, I had called him to be on the forefront of a lot of the issues in my case. I was the one that requested the gal. I thought third time may be a charm. Let's try and get somebody new in here, see if we can get some things changed. Well, they didn't. The first phone call with this clown, and he's complaining about the caseload, his caseload, the dollar amount involved to do a proper investigation, the amount of documents in the case, which is absolutely absurd in my case, over 1,000. That is ridiculous. And that's all he was complaining about. And that would be like a dealership technician taking a warranty job, getting paid a fraction to do something under warranty that normally he would get paid higher. And you can see where their heart's probably not in it. They don't want to do it. They don't want to get involved. And guess what kind of results you get? You get a father's or mother's rights trampled. Not a proper investigation done. They don't do their due diligence. And the child is the poor one losing in this entire matter, my case specifically, because right now, my child does not have the liberty of having me in his life. And that is BS, because the people that know me and know my son Jackson know I'm a good father. And that's just ridiculous. So that comparison to a dealership automotive type world, which I have tons of experience with personally and professionally, is ridiculous. So you have this individual attorney that is paid a huge amount of money, takes a fraction to allegedly get involved and do a so-called investigation, an investigation that your rights are trampled on because they're an extension of the court. So in Wisconsin, you cannot have the gal testify. You cannot question the results of it. They come out with a report. There's no transparency. You don't know who they've talked to. You don't get a chance as the parent to even face your accusers, which is bullshit, because there are all these false allegations being provided. And the last one, again, back to this Krasinski clown, didn't do an investigation because he's not getting paid. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all, because the way it's set up, it's just set up to fail. And all the courts want is they want this thing to go away, just like the dealers want things to go away. They want the car out of warranty. They want to hide problems like they did with GM and timing chains and Volkswagen and the emission scandal. That's what they want. They just want it to go away. So if they make the parent pay for this GAL and split the cost evenly, that's all it is. I'm still paying on the last two GALs, and I objected to the court this time, and it didn't even listen. Non-issue, didn't care. Well, I have rights. My son has rights. And if I object to having somebody that doesn't give a shit, doesn't want to do a proper investigation, isn't going to give it their due diligence, I wouldn't want them working on my car, much less my son's car. And there is just so much nonsense. And if the general public just realized what's going on in the family court system, you would be as disgusted as I am. And things need to change. I have rights. They're basically trampling the Constitution. And all that's being done by the court, again, is shifting the blame, shifting the burden, putting it on somebody else, and then basically making the parents pay for it. They just want the problem to go away. And they think if they just monetize it enough to put me to the rails and just keep racking up this debt, by the way, that Marinette County is carrying, by the way, because that's how that works. I've objected to the last two GALs, and the court keeps appointing them. There was one judge, Judge Sequin. She was not a biased judge. She was actually one of the good judges. She is now retired. She actually held with one of my arguments a few years ago and took the GAL off the case because of my arguments with regards to that first phone conversation where the GAL copped an attitude, was complaining about his caseload, complaining about the dollar amount, complaining about the documents. And you know what she did? She took him off the case. But Judge Connolly, who just wiped his ass with the Constitution, basically overrid all my rights, my 14th Amendment right to due process, didn't listen to a damn thing I had to say in court. And he's the one that reinstated that GAL, and that GAL did nothing but listen to mom and just do a carbon copy of my scorned ex's story, and then submitted that as his report. Well, this isn't a car. This isn't a possession. This isn't the dealer. This is my life, and this is my son's life. And it's more important than that. And again, things need to change. I am disgusted to the point that this is just asinine that we are at the point we are in the society we live in, and shit like this is allowed to happen consistently, time and time again. And this country was founded on principles and rights and the Constitution. And now with the family court, it's just about trampling those rights. Nobody gives a shit about moms. Nobody gives a shit about dads. They don't even care about the kids. They just care about the money, the system, and their caseload. Getting you in, getting you out, just like the quick lube. It's just disgusting.